Welcome to the InStory Show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Lesley Phillips. Hi, Lesley.
Hi, Devorah.
So Lesley is a PhD scientist, a spiritual teacher, author, and founder of the School of Intuition. So you are just right on topic for this show. So this season, we're focused on how to trust your intuition and become the leader of your own life. So Lesley, just like everybody else, since you are also a PhD scientist and now you're a spiritual teacher and writer, I would love to hear a little bit about how did you go from one realm into the other? And I know they're integrated for you, but I would love to hear what has led you to where you are now.
Absolutely. Yes. So, how does a PhD scientist become a psychic? And, it's my belief that every single one of us are born with intuition. We're born with psychic abilities. For the simple reason that your intuition is how you communicate as spirit, and you are spirit. Okay, and then you're born into the realm of the physical world, and you learn some additional forms of communication, such as language, verbal language, body language. So my story, I think, is very similar to almost everyone on the planet, in that I was born with these abilities, and as a very young child, had many experiences of perceiving the non-physical. But then I was oriented to be in the physical world by my parents, teaching me to walk and talk and refocus through my physical senses rather than my spiritual senses. And I also came from a family that really valued the intellect. And the intellect is great. It's the highest vibration of the body, but it isn't who we are. But I learned that the way to be validated was to be very clever. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I got a very thorough, high level of education, which includes getting a PhD, because that's what I was trained to believe was important in the world. You get a good education, you get a good job, and that's what it's about. And so I focused away from my intuition and focused onto my intellect for many years. Now, I never lost it completely, because during the time that I was intellectually focused, I kept a dream diary. And that dream diary was the thread that kept me connected. And so I had some very amazing dreams. I trained myself to dictate my dreams into a dictaphone that I kept under my pillow. I actually trained myself to switch it on and off while I was asleep. And then I would listen to it afterwards, and I would have a conscious memory of the very last dream I had, but there would be 4 or 5 other dreams that I had no conscious memory of. And so in those dream experiences, I had premonitions of world events, premonitions of happenings in my own life, experienced myself and my friends in past life scenarios, met with many things. And so that propelled me into a journey of exploring what was going on in my dreams. And that was the instigation of my reawakening and my remembering what was always originally there. And so I met various characters along the way. I took various classes along the way, but it led to me becoming awake and aware again, so that I once again had access to my intuitive gifts through my waking consciousness. And I became extremely passionate about it, and now I dedicate my life to it. But there was a journey in the middle there where by day I was a business development executive in the pharmaceutical industry. And I got to be in some boardrooms of some global, international pharma companies in my job. So by day I was doing that. By night I was a secret psychic. doing readings and energy healings and training to be a meditation teacher and an intuition teacher. And so that I led a double life, and that leading of a double life went on for actually a number of years. But as I did my own work, because to become a spiritual teacher in that level, and to develop your intuition, it's a dual path. You have to heal yourself in order to cleanse the system and activate and open the intuition. Because through our life experience, we all gather baggage. Challenges happen. There's pain that we store inside of ourselves. So I went through a process of cleansing and healing myself and clarifying my energy and raising my vibration. And as I raised my vibration, it became less and less of a match for the pharmaceutical industry. So I no longer could go into that job and enjoy being there, because I had to lower my vibration and the frequency on which I was naturally, my natural set point. It wasn't a vibrational match anymore. And that is a story that I see over and over and over again in my clients, that I'm in a job, I can't stand this job. Every day I go there, it feels awful. And I only feel like myself when I come home again in the evening. And it's because as we're waking up and healing ourselves and raising our vibration, some of the old things in our lives are no longer a vibrational match. Same thing, that's why when people are on this path to awakening their intuition, sometimes relationships will crumble, friendships will fall away, because if those other people or institutions are not evolving at the same rate you are, then at some point there's a fork in the road and it can't continue anymore. So it was an evolution over time.
So I think it's very powerful what you said about, as you felt pulled to be this channel for this higher intuition work, you had to cleanse yourself, become a higher vibrational level, and then you couldn't go back into the old one and feel aligned. Because I hear that was just so well said, because I hear versions of that without those words many times, and I think we're learning to put words on it and to understand what it is.
I mean, and it's a common story, and I think as time goes by, the next phase is recreating the old institutions so that they are a higher vibration. Yes. And the more people who are awakening, then the more likely that is to happen. And we do see it now, they are crumbling. We have things like the Me Too movement, so that sexual harassment at work is no longer okay or swept under the carpet. We have pharmaceutical companies being taken to court for addicting people to opiates. And you can choose any venue on our planet and you can see it changing before your eyes. So as we change, those institutions change too. But we're at this point where that hasn't happened yet. So there's lots of people who are ahead of where the old institutions that they've been working in are.
Right. And so this is what's happening, is people can feel they're not aligned anymore. It's not a vibrational match or whatever they call it. And then what is often the question. And so that's, I think, what's exciting about these conversations. So I want to hear a little bit more about now, how are you taking people forward? And it's partly your new book. You can talk about this concept of a blueprint, like talk a little bit more about some of what you have discovered. It's that science brain of yours applied to this intuitive realm that's super interesting. Because we haven't been taught this stuff, just like you described. You weren't raised to value this way of knowing, these other ways of knowing. So tell us a little bit what your current work and thinking is.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I believe every single one of us has intuition. And my work is all about educating people about intuition and helping them access their own intuition. And different people are at different places in that journey. So some people want to come and receive a reading. They want someone to reflect their own information back at them. Some people are ready to go further than that and start to explore their own intuitive abilities. And that's what my School of Intuition is all about, and that's what my book is all about. So I work with people as mentoring clients, one-on-one. Some people just like the personal touch, but I've also got a number of programs in the School of Intuition that help people develop their different intuitive abilities. And then the book, which is called Intuition and Chakras and is published by Llewellyn worldwide. And that book, the originating idea for the book came from a number of places. One was that on my podcast, which is called Unlocking Your Truth, people send in questions. And over the years, I've had thousands and thousands of questions. And I realized there was a trend in the questions I was being asked. One of the most common questions, probably close to 50% of people have some version of what's my life purpose? Mm-hmm. And I started asking people in the workshops that I do, who believes they have a life purpose? And everyone raised their hand. Who knows what their life purpose is? Most of the hands went down. So there was a gap. People knew that there was a purpose to their lives, but they didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. So that was part of it. But I also knew that the way to each and every one of us to understand ourselves more fully, to really know who we are and access our own higher guidance and steer our own way, is through the intuition. Now, as spirit, we are eternal. We are eternal beings. There is no beginning or end to who we are. But we project ourselves into these experiences called lifetimes. And each lifetime is kind of finite. So you, Devorah, you are part of your soul's reality, right? But your soul is so much bigger than you. Mm-hmm. This is an isolated lifetime. We can't fit all that we are on the level of spirit into any one incarnation, right? That would be so much energy, we'd all just explode like supernovas. So what we do is we decide, well, this is the theme of this lifetime. And in order to support this lifetime, that I'm going to sort of equip myself with certain gifts that I can use to guide my way. And those gifts are the intuitive abilities. So everyone actually has a unique profile of intuitive abilities, and I call it their intuition blueprint or their psychic ability blueprint. So each and every one of us has a unique profile of 22 different psychic abilities that are channeled through the chakra system and that are meant to support us on our journey. So the book Intuition and Chakras is a combination of, I really want to help people connect with their higher guidance, and I really want to help people understand themselves better and understand their purpose better. And I can think of no better way than helping them to access their intuition. So the book talks about life purpose, it talks about energy and your energy, and it talks about your energetic system and how that relates to intuition, and takes you through a process where you can start to recognize your unique intuitive profile. And we can talk about some examples of that in a minute. And then the final part of the book is energy techniques, energy tools that start to help you to activate your intuitive abilities and understand how to clarify your energy so that you can access your intuitive abilities. So if I may, I'll just, because I think the listeners might recognize some of these examples. So remember I said there are 22 different intuitive abilities. So let's just choose maybe 4 of the more common ones.
Okay.
So I know that you talk a lot about knowing, Devorah, right? To know yourself and to know your information. So that is a psychic ability called claircognizance or knowingness, and it's channeled through the crown chakra. The crown chakra is kind of like the portal to higher consciousness, and it connects you with your higher knowing. But you might meet other people along the way, and this is very common, who feel it, right? And the common word for that is, I'm an empath, I'm so sensitive, I can't go in the supermarket, I just get overwhelmed, I get overwhelmed with other people's emotional energy. That psychic ability is called clairsentience or clear feeling, and it's actually channeled through the second chakra, which is an energy center just 2 inches below the belly button, or 2 finger widths below the belly button. So very different location than the crown chakra, which is on the top of your head. And the purpose of that ability is body-spirit communication. Because you are not your body. You are spirit, but your body is your vehicle. But your body has its own innate consciousness. And one of the aspects of the body that is a feedback mechanism to you as spirit is the emotions. The emotions come from the body. So your emotions are your body telling you, oh, I'm really enjoying this reality that you're placing me in right now, or I'm not enjoying this. And the clairsentience is the psychic ability that allows spirit to translate those body signals. Now, if we've got time, I'll just quickly mention another 2 so we can cover at least the 4 clairs. Other people, they hear a message. Somebody speaks to them, an angel or a guide speaks to them, or they hear this inspirational music, or they hear a song playing in their head that gives them a message. That's clairaudience, clear hearing channeled through the 5th chakra, the throat chakra. And then another one, clairvoyance, clear seeing, the ability to see spiritual phenomena, the ability to see energy fields, to see non-physical beings, to read energy in the form of symbols or formulae. And that's actually one of my biggest gifts is clairvoyance. So everybody's different, and I'm sure your listeners, in hearing those 4, there'll be some that identify with 1 or 2, and others that, you know, identify more with a different one.
100%. And people, we have a Facebook group, so people will be able to, you can put what you think you are, you know, what your experience is and what you think you are in our, you know, we have a Facebook group for the show. So, because it can open up some of the discussion, because, you know, I often say to people, we're a little invisible to ourselves. So sometimes it takes a little bit of a refocusing to be able to see your gift. Often you can't see your own gift because it's just your normal.
And you compare yourself to other people. And this happens a lot with students, you know, that they will compare themselves to the teacher, or they will compare themselves to another student in the class and think, what's wrong with me because my experience is not the same as this other person. When in actual fact, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're just doing it your way, and you're meant to do it your way. You're not meant to do it like anybody else, because we're all unique aspects of divine consciousness, and we all complement each other, and together we make a whole.
Right.
So,
I love that so much. And we're such, you know, sort of victims of the kind of education system that tends to want to make us all the same. And, you know, I like to often refer to my program, I call it the InStory Way, as unschooling. Like the InStory Way is finally doing it your way, right? Because just like you're saying, we're unique and each person has a gift, and this whole new consciousness, what you're doing and so many are doing, it's giving us back ourselves in a sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. And one day there won't be a job for people like me, because we all will have awakened our abilities and be on to something else. But right now, that's where we are, that people are moving from unconsciousness into consciousness. And there are those of us who have the lucky role of being ahead of the game on this particular thing at this particular moment in time. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help everyone wake up, because now is the time of mass awakening on this planet.
Yeah.
The next few generations will be in a very different place in a few generations from now.
That's such an interesting thing to think about. And I think a lot of people are having this feeling, the ones I see, which is this sense of being called to something more. It's like what you said, that feeling that you have a higher purpose, but you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can say a little bit more about how you help people to get that clarity. It's like bringing something that you have a sense of in some way, which through whatever way you feel it, but it doesn't have, like for me, it's a lot about story because that's my work. I'm a storyteller, but bringing it down into this world, I'm sometimes like to say like taking the invisible and giving it clothing, so to speak, so that it can be seen. And I would love to hear a little bit about what you find has been helpful to people to be able to find their expression of this feeling.
Okay. So there's a few different levels I approach it on depending where somebody's at.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love to do is I love the very most to teach people energy techniques and energy management techniques that help them to clear their own energy and gain clarity and start opening their own intuitive abilities. Okay. But that takes a level of commitment for people, and some people are not at that point at committing to be able to meditate every day. So some other starting points can be, or ways of exploring this and finding your own path, is the psychic ability blueprint or the intuitive ability blueprint. So I have a special session that I do with people, which is called a psychic ability blueprint. And the book takes them also through a process of that. And that is based on the idea that when you were born, you had a unique profile of intuitive abilities. And as yet pristine, as yet untampered with, here they were being expressed already. Then you lived some life, went through the education system, all of those things, and you started little by little turning it down. You know, I'm different. I stand out from the crowd when I behave in this way. You know, so I better turn this down or that down or whatever. So the psychic ability blueprint session with me, we look at what your original blueprint was and what it is today for 22 psychic abilities channeled through the 7 chakras. And then we say, how has it changed and why has it changed? So what are the blocks and barriers to you accessing your own innate abilities? You know, maybe it's unworthiness and invalidation. Maybe it's some kind of fear. You know, so we can look at what are those things that caused you to keep yourself from yourself, so that there's a starting point to healing that, so that you can reset at the original blueprint level. So that will give somebody information about their life purpose and how each intuitive ability is meant to support their life purpose, and indeed what their unique psychic abilities are. And so, like I said in the book, there's kind of like a self-help version of it. So there are exercises that you go through. You learn about the 22 different psychic abilities. You learn about the chakra system. You learn about, there are lots of examples of my clients and what they've been through. So because in opening any of these gifts and any of these chakras, there are life challenges that map directly to that chakra and that ability. So you start to go, wow, yes, I've had all sorts of problems with competition, or I've had all sorts of problems with emotional overwhelm, or whatever it is for you. And it's a combination of many things. But you start to examine these stories from within your own life of the challenges I have had. And also, we've all had these glimpses of intuition at the very least. So what are mine? What are these stories that I tell people? You know, wow, I had this amazing experience and it was this, this, and this. So we gather all of that information together. And from that, there's a process that you can do in the book to say, wow, there is a concentration of activity around my 6th chakra or around my 4th chakra. and that relates to these particular abilities. And it doesn't really matter whether your experiences are positive or negative, they're still mapping to this overall area of consciousness, right? It's just a different polarity. You're either meeting the block or meeting it in an unblocked version. And then, of course, the final version of the book teaches you how to, gives you ways to clear and unblock and activate and access.
Well, I'm super excited that you're here on the InStory Show this time, because I often bump into the thing where someone will say, you can do this, you have intuition, or you know your purpose, and then they don't offer us the steps on how to go from, you know, this place to this place. And I love the fact that you've kind of unpacked a lot of the pieces and a lot of the steps for people to be able to see it. Because like I said, we're just so used to ourselves. It's like, that's just my normal. And we don't see it as being amazing. And so I don't know, I find it super interesting. So, all right, tell us a little bit about how people are going to be able to go a little deeper with this. So tell them what the free gift is, which I got it and it's very cool, and then what they can do next. Okay, because I really love what you're up to, and I think it's going to make a difference for people to start to see that it's not just for some people to develop your intuition.
Intuition is communication. It's spiritual communication. You are spirit. It's the natural form of communication. When you are out of the body, when you no longer have a body, you're not going to communicate through language. You're going to communicate through your intuition, through your intuitive abilities, through frequency, the language of light and vibration. And that's what intuition is. So my gift is, it's this really, really cool interactive infographic. And why it's so cool is that you download it and you hover your mouse over different parts of this chart, and windows pop up with information. And so the infographic includes the 7 chakras. And then when you hover over each chakra, it opens up a window that tells you the psychic abilities that map to that chakra and explains what those psychic abilities are. So you can go on your own unique journey with this infographic. And actually in life, we are all going through a unique journey through our chakra system, and we don't all do it the same way. We don't all go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, some people go 6, 2, 3. You know, any combination. And so you can have your unique journey through the interactive infographic that will teach you about the chakra system and about your intuitive abilities. And on the infographic is a link that will take you to the page that will give you more information about the book, Intuition and Chakras. And I want to draw that to your attention because there are some amazing offers that are included with the book. So the book launch date is the 8th of April. There is a pre-launch gift, which is a exclusive psychic ability quiz book, where in this book there is a quiz for every single one of those psychic abilities. So this is material that didn't make it into the book, and I am making it exclusive. So you're not going to get it any other time than if you buy the book before the launch date. Then that's it. So that is a really, really cool encouragement. And then once the book has launched, there's going to be another competition where you can win having your psychic ability blueprint reading done by me, and another prize, which is to win one of my intuition development courses. And there's also through the publishing company, there's going to be different giveaways on things like Goodreads and so on. So that link is a really important link to keep going back to, because it will update you on what's going on at the moment.
Very cool. And I already got your free gift and had super fun time clicking and seeing, and went to the other page, and it's just so, it's lively, like the work you're doing. Like, it feels lively, and I want people to feel that liveliness in yourselves. All of you who are watching, that creative, lively part of yourself, and just dive in, click on the link, explore the infographic, click in and see what's happening with Lesley's book, because I do think it's really powerful where you're leading people and the way you're breaking things apart so that we can actually begin to develop this. It's like learnable. Everyone thought it's not a learnable thing.
I've never had a single student who, you know, dropped out and couldn't do it. But actually that reminds me, I forgot to say one really important thing, that in the book, I've embedded a secret link. It's not really secret, but it's in the book. And it gives you access to my gift, the author of this book, to you, to help you in your awakening. Because it's one thing to read a book, but it's another thing to have direct experience. So the last 5 chapters of the book that teach you these energy tools, I've created a 5-part course. And everyone who buys the book is getting that course for free. And normally my courses are not necessarily terribly inexpensive. So this is an amazing bonus. In this book, you get this course as well.
Super cool. I'm super excited about it. I just completely love the things that are opening up in the world, that you're listening to this calling in your soul. You took all your scientific smarts and then applied them to this whole intuitive realm. And I love when people integrate. I always say everything counts. And that integration of all of who you are, I think is so much what makes each person unique. And that's how I feel about whatever you talk about, what you're doing, is that you're bringing this way of seeing in these two worlds together.
And I will say, every single one of us has a unique perspective.
Right.
We are all unique perspectives.
Right.
And we're all meant to express that unique perspective that we are. And intuition is a path that can get you there.
I agree. And that's why I think I was really inspired to have the focus this season. I do an InStory Show every quarter, and I just was so inspired to have this be a focus on on trusting your intuition and how that leads us to become the leader of our own lives, like to take on the commitment to directing our lives in a more intuitively aligned way. So, Lesley, thank you so much. Just to wrap up, leave us with one last thought.
Oh, one last thought. Let's see what we should say to the listeners. You know, it's not a thought, it's an energy transmission, but I will translate it. Okay. So we're sort of doing a kind of energy transmission at the level of the heart chakra. And that's really, and so, I mean, really what comes up to say is love the one that you are, because you are unique and you are love and you are light. And, you know, before we started the show, Devorah and I were talking about the energy and the energy shifts. And one of the things at the moment is we are all being invited to go through an opening at the level of the heart chakra. And so I just invite you all to tune in to your love and your passion, because the answer to why you're here is through the passion that you feel within yourself.
Oh, beautiful. I could completely feel that. Lesley, thank you so much. Everybody listening, take that into your heart, feel that opening, trust that inner knowing of yours, and jump into the Facebook group, share your thoughts, your insights, your questions. And Lesley, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And as I say in farewell, always remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, everybody.
Bye.